What's up, YouTubers? It's Ernie, Blerd Without Fear, and I know, this was a video I promised months ago, but Dark Knight's Metal has kept me so busy I haven't had time to make this video, but I plan to make good on that promise that I made when we took that poll on Twitter back a ways back. So, what are we doing? We're going to be here to talk about Crisis on Infinite Earths. And actually, it's probably a really good time to talk about it, considering that the multiverse factors heavily into Dark Knight's Metal. It also factors heavily into the Arrowverse crossover that just recently happened on the CW, Crisis on Earth X. But before we get into all that, let me know what comics you want to see me make a video on. Sound off in the comments. And if this is your first time checking out my channel, consider clicking subscribe so you can become one of Earth's mightiest subscribers and hit that bell button so you get notifications. So Crisis on Infinite Earths, let's jump right in. Crisis on Infinite Earths is an interesting book because it really kind of came about as a need to clean house with the DC universe at the time that it was created. This book started in 1985, and back then there were so many Earths. There were more Earths than there was any right to actually have. Like, it was so messy and convoluted that no one could really keep up. And DC knew this. They knew that the fans, though at the time, comic book fans, even still today, if they're really about business, they are going to keep up with it and they're going to be able to stay in pace with what you're doing. But there was just too much going on. DC was doing way too much. And they decided to pare it down, and the way they did it was with Crisis on Infinite Earths. This was pretty much the event where all of the Earths were basically being destroyed, falling apart at the seams, literally being swallowed within the space-time continuum. Once again, this was done to clean up a lot of the continuity issues that were going on. Not just when it comes to the characters as far as being on different Earths, I'm talking about the characters' backstories. Like, most characters did not have a solid backstory, other than maybe like Superman. And even then, his history was kind of convoluted as well. Basically what's happening here is that antimatter from an antimatter universe is crossing over and destroying the positive matter universe. We're talking about taking out every Earth. Everything down from Earth 52, 100, however many Earths there were, down to the last one. But there is hope, because there is a being who calls himself the Monitor, who comes along, and he is kind of, for those who aren't as familiar with characters like this, if you're more of a Marvel person, probably the closest analog to him would be Uatu the Watcher. He's this type of character who catalogs and watches over the events that transpire across time and space. And much like the Watcher in Marvel, the Monitor, his whole thing is that, hey, I'm not going to intervene, but this is the one time I have to, otherwise existence will cease to exist. And we get to see a taste of all this happening because we see moments with Earth 3 where this is also the Earth where the crime syndicate comes from, where you have like Ultraman and Superwoman and Power Ring, all these other characters. They're all being wiped out because the worlds are being destroyed. Kind of echoing Superman's history, we see young Alexander Luthor being shot off into space by his father, by Lex Luthor Sr. and Lois Lane, who send him off in the same way that Superman was sent off on Earth 1. Like, there is some hope out there somewhere that, that'll work. And we also are introduced to a character by the name of Pariah. And Pariah, and I'm just gonna give like a really quick, brief explainer because he doesn't really factor that heavily in right now. He factors in a little bit more later. So he won't come up again too much more in this video, other than right here. But the thing is, Pariah is a character who is cursed to watch the end of each of these Earths. Anytime there's some great tragedy, some great, destruction, some kind of cataclysmic event, he is cursed to watch it. And he has been watching these for a long time. So that's why you see the horror on his face when he witnesses the death of Earth 3. And once again, talking about the Monitor again, saying earlier that the Monitor's whole purpose was to basically watch over existence in the time-space continuum in the multiverse, saying that he wouldn't intervene, and technically he doesn't. He actually has someone by the name of Harbinger. Harbinger is a young woman by the name of Lila. You get some dialogue, especially in some of the later books, where you know that he took Lila in and gave her power and kind of saved her from an undesirable situation. And essentially that is exactly what it is. You kind of get some peeks and glimpses of it, in some of the pages, and he grants her this incredible power and tasks her with collecting heroes that can help save the multiverse. And she basically uses the power granted to her by the Monitor to divide her consciousness and her being into multiple parts, so she can travel across space and time and collect these heroes. And much like any good Pokemon trainer, she collects them all. She collects the Psycho Pirate from Earth 2, Firebrand from Earth 2 circa 1942. She collects Simon, who I'm almost positive is from Earth 1, Blue Beetle, who they don't really say, but I'm pretty sure he's from Earth 1 as well, Solivar, who is King of Gorilla City, I'm also presuming comes from Earth 1, maybe Earth 2, Geoforce and Cyborg, I'm kind of positive come from Earth 1, Firestorm and Killer Frost, also from Earth 1. Superman is definitely the Superman of Earth 2. Arian, they don't say which Earth he comes from, but we do know for a fact he comes from 45,000 years in the past. And of course, Dr. Solaris, they don't really say. I would assume Earth 1, maybe Earth 2. Obsidian, I almost assume comes from Earth 2 because he seems to, of all the characters, he kind of gravitates towards Earth 2 Superman. We also get Dawnstar from 30th Century Metropolis, likely Earth 1. And we also get John Stewart of Earth 1, the Green Lantern, not the Daily Show guy. She collects them from all their various places of time and space, and she gathers them back at the Monitor satellite. And when she does, many of them are characters who don't get along. Some of them are characters who have met before or have a history, or maybe know alternate versions of those characters from, whatever Earth they come from. Mostly these are characters from Earth 1 and Earth 2, so either one is a safe bet. But initially, a lot of them don't trust each other, as you would imagine. But what happens to kind of help prove the Monitor's point, these dark antimatter shadows attack. They strike down the heroes, and the heroes have to fight back. And this is when the threat that the Monitor is presenting to them becomes more real to them. And the Monitor reveals himself, as well as his plan and what he wants them to do, and he tasks the heroes with going after the tuning forks and defending them from these same creatures because he knows that something from the antimatter universe is coming. All the while, time and space is going haywire, because we see the past blending in with the present, and the present blending in with the past. We see scenes where at the dawn of man, they see buildings and skyscrapers off in the distance. We see in the present and in the far-flung future, they see creatures of the past, people of the past. Things are just going nuts. And what also doesn't help is that the Flash has been traveling through space and time, trying to warn his friends, the rest of the Justice League, Batman at first, and then later Superman and the Teen Titans, as well as Batman, that something is coming. He's warning them that the world is dying, and that something's happening, and that he is from the future, and that they have to do something, or else the world is finished. It's really heavy stuff, but the thing is, everything is kind of coming together, because the Monitor, he finds Alexander Luthor, the child that was shot off into space from Earth 3, who was originally a baby, but is now damn near a 10-year-old boy. And the heroes ship off to different parts of space and time, traveling to Atlantis, traveling to the Great Disaster. They even travel to time periods like 1944 and 1879. One of the things you want to be wary of when reading this is that the Psycho Pirate is probably one of the wild cards in all this, and he's actually a character who factors into a lot of what's going on in early DC Rebirth, specifically regarding Batman, and even to another extent, the Button event that happened between the Batman and Flash comics in DC Rebirth recently. He actually gets summoned by the dark power that is on the rise. And when Psycho Pirate meets this new dark entity, he realizes all too quickly that this power is nothing to fuck with. And he quickly comes to heel and pledges himself to the service of his new master. And all the while that this is happening, we lose characters. We see Solivar killed. We see Blue Beetle returned back to his time period because of his ineffectiveness in battle. We even see the addition of characters like Kamandi from the Great Disaster who come in to join in on the fight. We even see classic characters like Jonah Hex come in when they go to 1879. And we also see Jon Stewart lose the power in his ring due to this dark force who has taken out the Guardians of Oa. To make matters worse, the Harbinger has been compromised. At some point, the dark shadows got to her. Now she has fallen prey to this new entity that comes to destroy everything. And due to all these events, the towers are being lost one after the other. The towers in ancient Atlantis and on every other Earth in the Old West, all throughout time, all of them are being lost because of the overwhelming forces of the dark shadows. And at this moment, Harbinger prepares to strike down the Monitor in the name of the Anti-Monitor, her new master. And that's pretty much where I want to kind of leave it. I'm doing something a little bit different with these videos. A lot of what I was doing with some of the earlier videos, especially like when I did Secret Wars, I was trying to break down every single page, and we're not going to do that anymore because it takes up a lot of time, and I honestly want to keep these videos short so that I don't keep you here listening to me drone on about all this stuff. I mean, if you like that, that's fine. I mean, I'll reconsider, but I know the general consensus is it seems everyone likes the shorter videos. But let me know what you think about Crisis on Infinite Earths, and if you've read it, or if you've never read it, let me know what you think. Let me know if you have any ideas about what's going on, or if you want to touch on some things that I didn't cover. Sound off in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, I'd appreciate if you hit that like button, and if you want to see more awesome videos like this one, make sure you click subscribe so you can become one of Earth's mightiest subscribers, and hit that bell button so you know when I drop new videos. Once again, thank you for taking the time to watch this video, and I'll see you next time. Plus Ultra.